Welcome back to a new Training Talk video. So in this video, I want to talk about one of the concepts we learned as part of the last unit. So self-efficacy was one, but another part was trying to assuage negative thoughts or kind of that internal monologue that athletes have that can either improve performance or be a detriment to it. And one of the test questions that we had on the test that I completed today was about if you had an athlete that was having constant negative thoughts, what are some things that you would do to work towards that? And there's a variety of strategies that you can use. And I'm sure a lot of you, if you've ever done a sport, can think of a variety of ones, whether it's deep breathing, practice, visualization, all of those good stuff. But I kind of wanted to go through a practical example of stuff that's happened directly in my training and some stuff that I thought about. But one thing that I noticed that I actually do before recording any of these videos where I'm sitting here talking is I will take a deep breath, wait a few seconds, and then start talking. And I didn't really think about me doing this. And I realized the reason I did that wasn't so much that I get necessarily nervous before I talk in front of the camera. I'm used to talking in front of it and other people for the most part now, being a teacher for a bunch of years. But I think it's just a habit that's left over from, I guess, like 8 years ago at this point when I made any sort of video where I was talking in it. And way back in the day, the reason I started making any sort of video where I had a commentary talking over it wasn't to become YouTube famous. I was going to be a teacher. It was to help that skill at being a teacher. So I wanted to make a video about something I was interested in, but at the same time, and more importantly, to listen to myself talk while I was making those videos to relax my voice. Because I don't really want to say I modified my voice, but when you're really nervous or apprehensive, or you haven't really listened to yourself talk a lot, you may be speaking in a different way than what your ears would normally tell you if you're just listening to yourself. So playing back a video from which you're talking and listening to it is really uncomfortable, but it's something that's important to do if you want to be a better, or at least I would say a more consistent speaker, and one that you sound better to yourself. So hopefully you sound better to other people as well. I don't know if I do, but I know that listening to my videos, I don't get the heebie-jeebies listening to myself talk as much as I did when I did this like 8 years ago back in college. And I'm very glad I did, because it wasn't something that was necessarily recommended to me, but it was something I had heard somewhere about, listening to yourself talk. And I was like, well, might as well make a video. And I started on like a different channel making just random videos, like commentary stuff, and to listen to myself talk. And then it's kind of evolved or devolved, depending on how you look at it, into videos like this where I'm talking about training. But a more specific example to actual training, since that's what I'm all about, is the apprehension that I have prior to a lift. So I don't often have like overwhelming negative thoughts about a lift that I'm doing. If I ever do, I most of the time just don't even attempt the lift. So I think being able to recognize that if your mind is saying like, you can't do this, or I'm scared of this lift, or whatever apprehension, you can just not do it. You always have that option. There's no lift that you do in training that you have to do. In a competition, that's a little bit different. You kind of have to make sure that you are in that good mindset. But if I'm doing a block snatch like I was yesterday, and I'm like, I don't know, you don't have to do it. You just stop. So it's important with your lifts that you have that confidence. And if your brain is pushing out all of that confidence that you have, all that practice and visualization, all the good stuff you've done, and it's like saying no, then it's probably a reason that it's saying that, and it's a good thing to listen to that. Now, if you have to do the lift, or you want to do the lift, you know that you can, it's something that's pushing you away, and that's where you need to think about other strategies. And the big one that I have outside of that occasional thing, is thankfully that doesn't happen too often. My body doesn't say like, nope, don't even try it. A lot of times I'm able to at least delude myself into thinking I can make a weight, even if I am going to miss it terribly. I can commit to at least attempting it. For the other thing that I probably deal with more than that is the apprehension to start the lift. And so if I become nervous before a heavy lift or a heavy rep set or something, I might wait longer to do that prior. And that could be my hands are like on the bar, I'm like actually ready to go, but I'm just like waiting and trying to hype myself up more. And that waiting, what I've learned, and it seems obvious in a sense, but it is a detriment when I'm just sitting over the bar for like a whole minute, and before I do the lift, I'm going to be tired at that point. It's better to get yourself ready than go, of course, for not only the confidence factor, you're not sitting there thinking about the lift for too long, but also just from the fact that you're just going to be actually physically fatigued from being in a bent over position. Even if it's like on the blocks or something, you're going to be more fatigued. And so understanding that and putting a time limit on yourself, or at least for me, putting a time limit on the lift of like, I have to take my 3 breaths and then I need to go. And if I'm not going, to recognize that that is a fault that I am doing right now. And even if I still do the lift after that, that I want to do that lift without that hesitation the next time. And for me, if I was just never doing a competition ever, I probably wouldn't really care if I took a while before a lift. But in a competition, you obviously have a minute before you do a lift. So as I get closer to competitions, I really pay attention to that because I don't want to be spending, 2 minutes. I'm be timed out of all my lifts. So I kind of want to be able to go. I end up lifting better when I do that, but I also want to be able to adhere to the competition rules. So understanding that and putting that time limit on you. And for me, what I like to do is to create those counting, whether I'm like right hand, left hand, like count to 4 with those, tighten that up. All right, deep breath, 1, 2, 3, and then go. Like having that routine is probably one of the biggest things you can do. I talked about it with the camera where I take a breath before I start talking in it. The same with the lift. You have that normal routine that you go through. It allows you to kind of go into robot mode and just go and try to complete the lift. You're not worried about, is this hand tight enough or this or that? You're just, all right, I did all the things I need to do. Now I can do the lift. And having that routine, I think, is the biggest thing you do, especially if you're doing so many repetitions and so many sessions of a technical movement like a snatch or a clean and jerk. You kind of need those routines. And the same, it holds true for squats and for deadlifts and stuff. And that's something that for a heavy deadlift, I would like to get better at, of just getting up to the bar and just going, because I'm good at deadlifts, but I'll still wait a while to do it, even if I'm strapped up. If I'm not if I'm doing hook grip like I've done the last couple sessions of pulls, then I kind of understand my hesitation more, and understanding it and then working to improve it the next time is also important, because if I'm doing hook grip, I know it's going to hurt and I haven't practiced a lot. So I have that built-in apprehension towards that variation of the regular pulls or deadlifts that I've done with straps for a while. If I have straps on, I would still wait for a while. And you just need to go, just need to commit to it. And understanding that is the first step. Coming up with a strategy to combat that, and then coming up with a way to measure if that improved or not. Because it's hard to measure, did I have negative thoughts or did I not? But you can very easily measure, like, all right, I have a minute as soon as I start the camera to go and do this lift, or it's a minute from when I touch the bar. Because sometimes when I flip on the camera, I'm picking the song, or I'm walking around, or I'm loading the bar, like I'll just let it run for a minute. So it's not necessarily camera minute, all of that. As I get closer to competition, I do kind of try to adhere to that, because it gets me to rush a little bit to just set up and do the lift, which is easier for competition. And I'm not timing out or worried about that. But you want to come up with that strategy, but that strategy has to be measurable, because if you're just like, I want to say positive things, well, I guess you can measure if you said those positive things or not, but you want to see if it manifests in a measurable way. So in my case, like, did I perform the lift quick enough, or did I get going fast enough? And of course, the most obvious is did your performance increase? Did you do better with that weight that you're previously nervous with? And assessing the ease of the lift is one of the things that you can look at the actual lift that you performed and see, was it easy? Was it difficult? Did I grind? Did the form break down? But you can also keep a little note of your mental state prior to that lift. Were you absolutely going berserk before that lift and freaking out, blaring Slipknot as loud as you can to get hyped up? Or did you just have a random song on and you knew that you had that confidence of, I can just do this weight, so whatever percentage lift, I'm just going to do it and I'm good with it? Because that mindset is a huge difference between a lift that's at a true 90% on a particular day and a day that's at 100% on that particular day. If you're losing your mind to do whatever lift, yeah, it's fine, but you have to understand that you want to get to a better mindset. So I don't say better, but you want to get to a more relaxed mindset, so then that weight isn't the all end all be all to what you're doing. So it's just something to think about with your training, because it's another way that you can assess, I suppose, rate of perceived exertion on a lift with the amount of heightness that you got with it. But also understanding that, this is the part I'll conclude with, is that the negative thoughts and the apprehension and the nervousness before a lift or for any exercise or really any sport is completely normal and is often dependent on the individual. And it could be higher or less in different ways for different lifts. For me, I'm going to get much more apprehensive before a squat than I am a deadlift. And there's a lot of people that are going to be the opposite with that. depending on, you know, their ease of the lift, or if they're built for it, or their comfortability with whatever. And so understanding that you're going to have those thoughts and that you can't just magically make them go away, but it's important to address them and have a strategy to help work against what your body might naturally want to do. Because lifting weights is not natural in the sense that your body does not want to get stronger. It will adapt to what you force it to. But it would be very happy if you just sat on a couch and ate potato chips all day, because you spend no energy, you get a lot of energy, and you are just in perfect survival mode. Coming out here, damaging your muscles, pushing your body above what it had done before, is something your body is going to naturally want to fight against. And if you understand that it is a fight to get better at literally anything, but here when you're breaking down muscles and trying to move your body in a way that has moved forward with the increased load or increased reps or whatever it happens to be, you have to know that your body is going to try to send you signals to say, we can't do that. We shouldn't do that. You should go sit on the couch and eat some potato chips instead. And sometimes, every once in a while, that might be the correct thing if those feelings are so overwhelming that it's going to mean that you're not going to have a great training session. But understanding that those thoughts are going to happen, coming up with a strategy that's going to either push them away or develop the routines that are going to help push those away are critical to having consistent training sessions and be able to progress yourself. Because if you don't push on that mental side and you're just trying to push on that physical side, your mental side is going to be the limiting factor and not just the physical side. Because a lot of the weightlifting stuff is mental. And if you can convince yourself of a lot, you're going to perform significantly better. And that's a huge part that if you don't believe in a lift, and especially like in my case, like I'm out here by myself, if I don't believe I can do it, I don't have someone out here that's going to be lighting a fire under me to do the lift. Like I have to intrinsically develop that confidence and motivation to do that lift. And that just means that I have that wherever I go. So I think it's an important skill to have for every lifter in any context or sport, because if you can't motivate yourself or have those positive thoughts yourself, it's going to be hard to always depend on other people to do that. Obviously, it's a benefit to have other people pushing you, but you have to be able to get that from within. But with that being said, I'm going to turn this and get all these blocks away and do some front squats, and hopefully do a big front squat today. But I feel like there it is. Another cough today. I don't know why I've been coughing so much in these videos, but we're going to go ahead, hit some front squats, and hopefully I would like to hit 180, but we'll see how it works. But I'll talk to you all in the next video, and I hope you all have a great day. Peace.